Hello, this is Regina from Regina's Crafting and More. I'm going to show you how to make this split color font in Pallete 11. You can also do this in PE Design because the programs are virtually the same program. I have PE Design 10 and I will do another video with PE Design 10 to show you these are the same programs. But this is what we're going to do. In order to do it, you need to have 3 windows open. You need to open your Pallete 11. You need to open Design Center. And what I'm doing is I am holding my Alt button on my keyboard to go back and forth to these windows. Hold down the Alt button on your keyboard and tap, T-A-P, the Tab, T-A-B button, which is right underneath the number 1 next to the Q. So if you tap it once, you don't hold your finger. If you hold your finger down, this is what it does. But tapping it one time goes from one window to the next that you have open on your computer. So you want to have Design Center, Layout and Editing, Design Center, and you want to make sure you have Windows Paint open. Okay, so this is where we start. Let me delete this and start over again. So you want to select the font in Paint and click over here. And we want to size this window down. And I have this in inches. And if you don't, move this over. If you don't know how to change it, if it's in millimeters or centimeters rather, you go to File and go down to Properties, and you can change it inches, centimeters, or pixels. And because of the generation that I came from, we never learned centimeters and millimeters. We only did inches. So I have a really hard time with centimeters and millimeters. So I'm going to do inches. Alright, so this design page is 16.5 by 7.9. We're going to select the alphabet right here, and we're going to come down and click, and you want to put your cap locks on and type M-E-R-R-Y. And then you want to resize this if it's big, and to let me do new. If your paint comes up and you have a window like this, you can enlarge it, and you want to enlarge it because we want to have enough room to do Christmas big and Merry. So let me do this again. Select the alphabet, click N on the design page, and type, hold make sure your cap locks button is locked, and type M-E-R-R-Y, and then readjust this length right here. And if you look at the bottom, see right here, okay, you're readjusting this, and I just want to get down. Whoops, we don't want to go that far. All right, so click off and click back on, and then click around here as close as you can without cutting anything off, and let go. So we want this to be about 1.5 inches, and if you hold the Shift key and drag up, that's 1.52, and it's about 7.58, which is good because we're going to take it into a little bit bigger page. Alright, so we're going to we have that selected, and we're going to copy. So now hold down the Alt button and press Tab, and we want to go to Design Center. When you get there, let go of the Tab and the Alt button, and we want to click on Image, Open from Clipboard, and there's our Mary. Okay, click on To Line Image and get the little dropper and click where it's black. If you happen to click where it's white, just uncheck it if you get a white color right down here, and then click on OK. So now we want to click on To Figure Handling and click OK. Alright, so there's our Mary, and if we look at our design page, it's 8 by 12. That's what I chose when I opened this, and I should have told you that to begin with. So if you don't have it 8 by 12 now, you need to change it. You know, if you've got one of those upright embroidery machines, change to whatever size they have available that's close to 8 by 12, or in this case we have the regular embroidery sewing machine, and I want to click on the 8x12. You'll understand why in a minute. And say OK. Alright, so now if you wanted to kind of straighten out some of these little edges, you could do it simply by clicking on this select point, and you could go in here and click on the letter and then click where you've got one out of alignment and delete it. And we could click that one, but it really isn't going to make a whole lot of difference. Okay, so if we click back, click the select button, and just that little bit that I did, you can select the magnifying glass and zoom in on that, and then do the select point, and you could get rid of that one and that one, that one. Let's get rid of that one and that one and that one, and we'll get rid of that one. So that probably is going to do that one. Okay. Alright, so let's go out large. You come over here to zoom, and it gives you the full screen, and click your select button and click. Alright, so there's our Mary. So the next step is to come up here and select your input line, and we're going to draw lines across here. Alright, so you want to hold your shift button down, click outside the word, and come across. Now I'm getting right on the edge of where these lines separate, these words, you know, like the E, and you know, this is a little bit below, but don't worry about that. So we're going to draw 4 lines. So I'm going to draw a line here. So that's 1, 2. I'm going to draw another line here. That's 3. And I'm going to draw another line right down here, and that's 4. So that gives us 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Okay, so you can draw this where you only have 3 sections, or you could put them closer and get, you know, 6 sections. All right, so let's zoom in. I'm going to come up here to the magnifying glass, and I'm going to come and I'm going to draw around here so it's bigger, and we're going to click on the select tool, and we're going to click on this first line, and we're going to move it down just a little bit so that this is above the red line. And then on the second one, I'm going to move it down just a little bit to go past. And this one, I think I'm just going to leave it. And this one, maybe I'm going to move it down just a teensy bit. All right. So now that we've, oh wait, I don't like where that's sitting. So let's move this down a little bit more. There we go. All right, so let's do a teensy bit more, and then let's move this down just a teensy bit, but not too far, because we want this and this to be up above it as much as possible. All right, so now let's click on To Sew Setting right here. And the first thing we need to do is get rid of these outlines. So you're going to come over here, you'll click this line button right here, and then click right here and change your running stitch to a no sew. And we want to click all these letters. So you get right on the letter and click and click. And where these little cutouts are, you've got to click that. And click, click, and click. Alright, so now that we've divided the word Mary up to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, we need to fill this in with color. So you come over to the region, and we want to make sure that you have a fill stitch, and then pick your colors. So if you click that button and pick red, since this is Mary, it should open a box over here for you. Okay, mine went above my video screen, and you can adjust this box down or up or whatever. I just want like all the colors to show. So I'm going to pick my red, and this is a really important part. You need to make sure, let me move this up out of the way, that you click every section that is above the line or below the line. Okay, so we clicked all the red. Now we could come over and go ahead and do the rest of the red. So this is going to be green, and then this one's going to be red. So I'm going to fill in all the red. and fill that one and that and that. And then this is going to be green right here, and this is going to be red. Alright, so we're filling in everything. Alright, so now let's go get a green. I'm going to use this green, and we want to fill in all the sections that make up the letter. Okay, now don't forget this little section right here. Same with the S's and whatever else, you know, comes in. You've got to fill in all those little bits, and if you forget, oh, it's not nice what you would have to go through. Alright, so make sure you do that. Okay. So if you forget, you can always change color. Say I forgot to do this. You can always go back and change color and come in here and click, click, click with a different color. And it won't make any difference whenever we take it to layout and editing. Alright, so we've got all of our Mary filled in. And now we want to send it to layout and editing. So let's Alt-Tab over to layout and editing. I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to delete it. And I'm in a 6 1/4 by 10 1/4 hoop. I'm just going to change it to the 8 by 12 just because that was what we changed over here in the previous screen to 8 by 12. Alright, so let's see. I'm going Alt-Tab and going back over, and I have my layout and editing open, and it's in an 8 by 12, so I'm back in Design Center, and I'm going to click Send to Layout and Editing, and it automatically flips you over to layout and editing and has this in. We want it as stitches 100%, so we're going to say import. So there's the Mary that we made, and it is 11 by something. So we're going to readjust it. As long as I have these handles, I'm going to click the handle in the bottom corner. I'm going to hold my Shift key, and I want to make this a little smaller. I want it about 7 3/4 to 7, not quite 8 by 1 1/2, but I'm going to let go. But it's not 1 1/2. If you look right down here, you can see the width is 7.79, the height is 1.36. So we want 1.5, and I'm just going to adjust. Whatever you adjust it to here, you need to adjust it on Mary. So this is 1.5. Now let's zoom in and see what that did. And everything looks good. Nothing's separated yet. Alright, so let's go full screen. With this button right here, takes you back to full screen. And while this is selected and you have the handles around it, if it doesn't, then you go up here and get the select tool. Say it doesn't, you get the select tool and just draw it around there, and it selects and you have the handles. So you want to right click now and go down to divide stitches by color. So it's dividing the stitches up, and it's putting all the red together and all the green together, and then the black lines. Click off of it, click the black lines, right click, select objects, and that selected the black lines. Now hit delete on your keyboard, and it gets rid of those black lines. So let's zoom in again, and you can see that everything looks good. Nothing is separated, but if I were to readjust this and make it bigger, sometimes it pulls these sections apart. So that's why it's important that you get over here the approximate size that you want. Alright, so Alt-Tab takes you to Design Center, Alt-Tab takes you back to Layout and Editing. And let's go full screen. Alright, so there's Mary. So now it is separated in parts. It's separated by red and it's separated by green. So I want to select it and right click and group it because I need to move it out of the way. So I'm going to move it up here. I'm going to Alt-Tab back to Design Center, back to Paint, and I'm going to say File, New. You can save Mary if you want. I'm not going to save it. So I'm going to say no. So if you save it in a folder. I named my folder Split Color Text and put it on my drive where I save everything. So make sure you know where you're saving it. Alright, so now we want to start again. We come up here and we select the text selection right here and we click in. Now remember how long this was before. I'm going to move this over a little bit and I'm going to start typing all caps CHRISTMAS. Alright, so that fit good. But I want this box to come right into right about there. And I click off. Alright, so let's select it again real close. Ooh, real close without cutting it off, I hope. Okay, so it's about 1 3/4 inches high. So I'm going to drag it up a little bit to 1.52. Okay, and I'm going to click off. So now I've got it reselected, and what was that width on it? Let me do it again. Select it. It's 11.3, so I don't quite want it that big. So I'm going to hold the shift key and go in. Hold the shift key, so it's still 11.34. Let's see, and we're going to get it to about 8. And, keep going, keep going, keep going. 791. All right, so there's 791 by 1.59. All right, so now we're going to click off. I'm going to select it back again, and I'm going to say copy, and I'm going to go close this design center because I've never been able to get back to that import image without closing this, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back over to layout editing, Alt Tab. It takes you back and forth, Alt Tab, and I'm going to go to layout editing and go to Options, Design Center, and say cancel, and image. Click on image, open from clipboard. Then go to line image, get your magnifying glass and click on the black part and say OK. And then go to figure handling, say OK. Alright, so here's our Christmas. Ugh. Why does it do that sometimes? Alright, so let's close this out, say no, 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 and go back over here. Go back to paint. Paint. And I'm going to file new. And I'm going to make this window a little smaller. 12, 11. I'm going to do that right there and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to click in here. So I selected the font and then cap locks, CHRISTMAS. Oh, okay, that didn't work. File new. Sorry, it's just easier for me to do it this way, so let's make this a little longer. Go back to text, click CHRISTMAS. Okay, so that fits. And then let's see how big it is. Select around. Oh, no, click off. Go out just beyond it, right above and down. And it's 1.34. I'm going to hold my shift and drag it up to 1.5. Okay, so we'll say copy, go over to layout and editing, open design center, and click on image, open from clipboard. Okay, yes. Alright, so we're going to go to here, we're going to get our little dropper and click the black and say OK. And we're going to go to figure handling and say OK. Alright, that looks better. Okay, so now we are going to, let's see what size this is in here. Oops. I do see something I want to. Okay, so this is 1 3/4. So with the black handles selected, hold your shift key and drag up until it's right there. So I've got it 11 point. That's too wide. I'm going to go in. And remember, I only want it just a little bit smaller than 8. Right about there is good. Alright, so let me click off and then we'll zoom in. So I'm not real tickled with that. And you know, I've played with this so much, I don't understand why sometimes it makes the letters skewy and sometimes it doesn't. So let me click this. This makes the video so much longer. I just hate that for y'all. Alright, and I'm going to go down here. This one's kind of outside. This one's kind of outside. This one is. Alright, so let me click off and let's go down here and get the select point tool and click and then delete that and go back to full screen, select tool. So let me zoom in a little bit more. And this S is kind of screwy too. So let's just fix that real quick. At least y'all get to see how that's done. I zoomed in, picked the zoom in, and I'm going to pick the select point, and I'm going to click where these seem to be out of alignment. And I'm going to come down here. Oy vey, my goodness. I'm going to click that one, and I'm going to click this one. Go up. I'm going to get rid of that one, and that. Okay, so I'm going to take that one out of there. Alright, so let's go back to full screen. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Alright, that looks okay. That looks better. Oops, no, I don't like the C. So let me zoom in. So at least you're seeing how this is done. So we're going to take this one, and I'm going to take that one, and that one, that one. And as far as how do you know which one to take, I'm just taking the ones that don't look like they're in line with some of the others. That's all I'm doing. Alright, so let me get my select, and that looks better. Let's zoom out. And then let's come back in to be able to draw. Okay, so now we've got our text kind of where we want it. So now we got to draw some lines. So remember, on the Mary, we were right below. Let me zoom in on this. So our line is right below here on the R. Let's look at the R. See how much difference there is right here. So we want to do basically the same thing. So let's get our input line and go. Remember, we can adjust. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to double click, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to be right there. Double click. So how many lines did we? Whoops. Click off. Double click. How many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So we've got 2. So let's come down here and click there, and I think that's too low. So I'm going to get the select key, select tool, and go up a little bit. And then I'm going to do one more line right in there, and then I need to move it up because it's too low. I know that for a fact. I'm going to come right above that. Alright, so let's see, on the R, it was right above there, so that's good. We want them to be as close as possible to the Mary, so that one's right below it. So the first one is right below the D. Right there, about. And I'm alt-tabbing, going back and forth. That's what's great about this. Okay, and this is right below that. So that looks good. And right above that one. And then right above the bottom parts right there. Okay, so that looks good. Alright, so now we want to click to sew setting. First thing we want to do is take off the outline. So click on line, click right there, change this to no sew, and click all these lines off. And remember to click that off too. You know what? That line needs to go. So let's undo, and see if, okay, and then let's go back to figure handling. And let's select this, and it needs to come down just a little bit more so you can see the top of the division right there. The top of that a little bit more. Okay, hopefully that's good. Alright, so let's go to Sew Setting and click the line and click No Sew, and No Sew. Click, go through and make all those lines disappear. Click, okay, and make sure you get the little cutouts on the letters that have the cutouts. Okay, so now we go to Region. We want to put this back on Fill Stitch, and we want to get the red, because I'm going to start with red. I want that red. And click, go through and click this just like we did with the Mary. Let me get this out of the way. And then we want to, alright, so this line would be green, so we're going to do all the red. Don't click in here, because that's not part of the letter. Okay, so let's click all these. Okay, and then this is green, and this is red. Okay, so we're clicking all this. Alright, so now let's get the green. Now don't forget to get all these little bits. That's not a bit, so, and that's not either, so just make sure that is. Oh, and this is barely, oh dear. Alright, we'll just live with it that way. We'd have to go back to figure handling, and yeah, I'm not going to do that. Alright, so we're just going to live with it like that. And we get this little bit and that one. This line right here probably should be down a little bit more. Alright. Okay, so we've got all that. So if you want, you can go to Stitch Simulator right here and watch it stitch. I'm going to make it go faster. There we go. So it's going to do all the red, and then come back and do the green. Alright, so let's close that out. And so now this is at the very top, and we're going to back over here and send it to Layout and Editing. And we're going to say Import, so it's going to put it right in here. And there it is. Alright, so if we look down at the bottom, it's 1.52. And let's select this. Remember, we grouped it a little while ago. I'm going to drag it down here to right there. And I'm going to grab this one and bring it right here. So let me drag this back down. Let me drag this down some more to right there. And I'm keeping it centered. Going to try. Yeah, that one's centered. And when I click on this one, let's move it over just a little bit. Okay, so if I was to click on this and right click and say center, it's going to put it up here, and that's not what I wanted. So it's easier, what little bit I have to move it, to just click it. Okay. Alright, so when we did this one, remember, we selected the text, got the little handles around it, right clicked, and said divide stitches by color. Okay, so it's now divided them. So when I click, that's all the red. So don't move it when you click. You can always use your undo key. So now we need to get rid of the lines. So let's click here, right click, select objects, and hit the delete button on your keyboard. And voila, it's gone. So now let's select all that and right click, group. Alright, so there's our text. So let's look. This text is 1.54, so let's just minimize it just a little bit. And okay, so let's do it like this. This one is 1.52, and instead of messing with it, trying to get it that way, we're just going to come up here. We're going to take this off, and we're going to, this is maintain aspect ratio, which means this and this are equal as, they're not equal, but they're together. Okay, so I'm going to make this 5.2 and say okay. So now this is 1.52 in height, and this is 1.52 in height. This one is a little large, so I'm going to hold my shift key and go in with it a little bit. Unless you just like Mary to be like screaming at you. Alright, so I'm going to go in a little bit more. And okay, I'm happy with that. So they're the same height. They're different widths because there's more text in this one. I wouldn't want to enlarge this one because it could separate it. And we can see what it's going to do. We have it grouped. So let's enlarge it and see what happens. I'm going to get the select tool and I'm going to hold the shift key and drag it out. So in playing with this, sometimes it does mess, and I think it did. Yeah, see how that's separated? Okay, so I'm going to hit undo and let it go back to what it was. And now let me go in. And that's still a little bit, but it should be okay. If you get that, if it was me, I would probably go back in here and go to figure handling and just, let's see, select. And this is 1.52 and it's too big. It's 8.66, so let's just go that way and go back to sew setting. And I'm going to select this, delete. I'm going to go back over here and send it to layout and editing and import. And okay, I'm going to put it right there. So let me look and see how that is now. Yeah, see the difference? Let me select that. Select and divide by stitches. Click off. Click on. Right click, select objects, and hit delete. Yeah, it's, see that little bit that we did over in Design Center, it fixed this part that was kind of out of whack from us readjusting. Okay, so that's how you make split color font. All right, thank you so much for watching. If this was informative and for you, please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell so you'll know whenever I do more videos. And once again, I appreciate you for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.